TNT Unfiltered. Tyler Freed and Tim Lombardo.
Welcome to TNT Unfiltered. I'm Tyler Freed.
I'm Tim Lombardo.
So today we're going to talk about the tale of two types of buyers.
Buyers or
People in general.
people in general, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Living arrangements.
Living arrangements.
Can't live with your mom and dad forever in the basement,
True.
right? Or your aunt and uncle in the basement for very long. Like, that's not a great situation.
Nope. It's no legacy to be built. Meatloaf.
Ma! Anyways, nobody wants to be Chaz, of course, but some guys do. So we got two different types of people out there, right?
Right.
It's just like, hey, I'm comfortable. The rent is comfortable. I'm here. I've been in the house for 2-3 years. The landlord's cool. Everything's fine. When is that good? And when is that like, hey, I should re-examine?
Well, we talked about this. Sometimes it's okay to rent, right? You're new to the neighborhood, job relocation. You need to check it out before you dive in and make the ownership move there.
Yeah.
But sometimes if you stay too long in that situation in the basement, like Jazz or whatnot, you're missing opportunities, right?
Yeah.
We saw something the other day that people that waited in the mid 70s for rates to drop couldn't buy a house till 1993 and prices quadrupled.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do we get them from this bucket to that bucket?
Yep. Yep. So we talked about that in a couple other episodes about down payment and about credit, and those things matter. But I think it's this barrier of fear, right? Like, hey, I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
Right? I'm comfortable. I don't want to go outside. I don't want to take the risk of putting money into a house, and I'm obligated to the payment. But I think the part people forget is like, yes, you are obligated to make a payment.
Right.
Okay. But you're also obligated to pay your rent. So the difference is really what? Well, one is going to go on your credit. One's going to go against the landlord.
Yep.
But if I've continually defaulted on rent, landlords are going to start to see my history just the same, right? So I might as well be really, in my opinion, investing in myself versus investing in a landlord. And that's really kind of what it comes down to.
And homeownership it's going to be ultimately the most safe play, right? Because the landlord could decide to sell, like we saw a lot in 2020 and 2021, or they could continuously raise their rents up, knowing how expensive rents are climbing.
Yeah, and I think you said a lot there when you said it's the safe play, because it doesn't feel safe. Like the first time you buy a house, I think every first-time home buyer I've ever worked with, I think deep down they're pretty nervous. Okay. I'm nervous with them because I can identify and I can empathize with it. But I also know that there is virtually zero chance they're going to call me back later and say, I should have never done that.
Right.
Like, in fact, I've had by and large the opposite happen. Right. And so that idea of I'm afraid is a pretty big piece there.
Well, what you brought up was really, really good. When we're doing these buyer consultations, you got to talk about the roller coaster, right? You're going to put your offer in. You're going to be freaking out because you're going to see how much it's going to cost you over 30 years.
Yep.
Then you're going to go back to the house for the inspection, like we talked about earlier. Then you're going to envision growing your family there, where you're going to put all your furniture, where you're going to hang the Christmas tree, and then you get excited again.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that a Christmas trees idea is a big one, right? Because it's like, this is my home.
Yeah.
Right? Like, home is such a big deal over the holidays, right? It's like holidays are kind of here and upon us, and we look at this idea of like, hey, this is my home.
Yeah.
Right? I have home ownership, and this is where I'll create the memories indefinitely for as long as I want to create them. Versus, hey, you get a call from your landlord in 2022, prices are shot way up, and he's like, I'm going to sell the house now.
Yep.
Right?
It's not worth the risk anymore.
Correct, for them.
So how do we overcome this? This was sparked by one of our clients that is making a lot of money, super comfortable, doesn't really need to make the move, right? He's bringing in good money, has low rent, but we kind of talked about that danger zone, bringing in $9,000 to $11,000 a month, and just being comfortable.
Yeah, I think the best analogy I can kind of give to that is like, if you want shade and you're out in the open, you need a tree, right? And if there's no trees out there, then you better plant one. Right. And so sometimes our comfort is we're just walking around. We don't really think we need shade. But as we get older, we're going to want more resources and we're going to have more security. Right. So it's like sooner or later, you might as well just plant the tree. Right. And enjoy it, the things it's going to provide in the coming years versus just, I'm comfortable and everything's fine. Right. Like I think the best way I can kind of describe it is like, you're going to want something later. Yeah. Right. Because just, that book, good is the enemy of great. Right. It's good to make money and have low rent and everything else. But there's more to life than low rent and not building equity. Right. If you're not building equity, as long as you know you're not and you don't want to do it, then that's fine. But understand what you're missing out on.
And it's kind of a trap, right? You can get comfortable and you're stuck.
That's a whole nother podcast, not even associated real estate, right? It's like comfort's always a trap.
Right. Okay, let's go to the other end of the spectrum there. We've had clients that, bought houses 10 years ago, and a good majority of their wealth is just from starting the homeownership, selling, buying again. They could have started in 2010 and got a house for $300,000. I remember that was a lot of money back in 2010 for houses, and now that house is worth $900,000.
I think you're saying a lot there, because this is something I'm seeing a lot, because I've got some agents that are saying, oh, I'm really busy this year. Like, I don't know how people are down. And I explained to them, I said, well, tell me about your buyers. And she says, well, most of my buyers are selling in the $1.2 to $1.3 million range. They've got about a $300,000 mortgage. They're walking away with between $800,000 and $1 million. Okay. Looks like a lot of money, but all they did was buy a house. Okay. And they're taking that money and they're paying cash for something. Okay. Now they're really in the driver's seat. Right. Like Dave Ramsey's proud of them for that matter. Right?
They're not affected by the high interest rates.
They're not affected by high interest rates. They're not really affected by anything other than taxes. And so that's the part you just go, well, all they did is they planted that tree a long time ago.
How'd they get there?
How'd they get there? Exactly. It was just time. Time and patience. And until you start, nothing's happening.
I like it. So that's the fuse.
That's the fuse. Hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.
You've been listening to TNT Unfiltered. Your host, Tyler Freed, is your Windermere real estate specialist, and Tim Lombardo is your go-to loan officer from Cornerstone Home Lending. With a combined 40 years of experience, they bring you the raw truths from the Pacific Northwest and beyond. The truth about everything real estate and financing related. We hope you've enjoyed the show, and we hope you've gotten something from it. Make sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe. Find Tyler on social media at Tyler Freed RE and Tim at Team Lombardo Loans. See you next time on TNT Unfiltered.